welcome back to the 23rd episode of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the new legend, Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
How we doing, sir?
We are doing great. We have got, we're back in Riddler town. This is the third appearance, I believe, of the Riddler. It's amazing to me to think that the Riddler was not really that well known of a Bat villain when this show was made. I think he'd had a couple of appearances, but he certainly was not by any means, not as popular as, not as used in the comics as much as Penguin or Joker or even Catwoman. And yet, this is the third time we're seeing him, and it just seems like he's on this show a lot.
Yeah. Well, before we even get into this, one of the things I noticed in this episode watching the Riddler was he was acting very crazy, jumping on tables, and I was like, am I watching the Riddler? Or am I watching the Joker? Because he was kind of wild, and he's very animated. And
He is, yeah, he gets, I think he's been more animated as we've gone on.
yeah, I really noticed it in this episode.
And he is outstandingly animated in this one. I mean, yeah, as we go through it, I will point out I have some notes here, and Frank Gorswin just goes crazy with excitement. And I think he's a blast to watch. I think it makes him unique. He is the reason that the Riddler, I think, is one of the top villains now when we think of Bat villains, because of what Frank Gorswin brought to this role.
You can tell in this episode he loves playing the character. He has a blast with it.
Yeah, I mean, there is no line for him that he'll not cross. Like, there's no such thing as over the top. Like, he's gone.
All right, so this is season 1, episode 23, The Ring of Wax. Episode aired Wednesday, March 30th, 1966. Oh, we forgot to name the director and writer last episode. I just thought that.
It's the same as in the first. It's the same as in the first episode, though, so we're okay.
That's true. The director is James B. Clark, and the writer is Jack Peretz and Bob Rogers.
Now, I do believe, I'll definitely be able to confirm this in the second part when we review the second part, because I always read the stories that they're based on after I watch both parts. But this is allegedly based on an early adventure with the Riddler that appeared in Batman number 53, called A Hairpin, a Hoe, a Hacksaw, and a Hole in the Ground. So we will, and that is. Yeah, that is that is not in reference to his crew or anybody else that's in this. It's certainly not a reflection on the character of Moth, as we will see played by the lovely Linda Gay Scott in this. I will have more to report on that in the second half, because I will go ahead and read it and see how close they are as far as an adaptation. But this is a pretty fun one, I think.
All right, let's dive into it. Madame Soleil's Wax Museum. Madame Soleil pulls a rope to unveil her wax figure of Batman. When the curtain opens, it's a wax figure of the Riddler, and he's holding a gun. At the feet of the wax figure of the Riddler is a tape recorder. A message plays. Surprise, surprise. What is black and white and red all over? The wax Riddler begins shooting the audience with red paint. Illustrious friends, the Riddler continues, if that little riddle is too hard for you, why, here's another. What has branches and leaves and no bark? At Wayne Manor, Bruce, Dick, and Aunt Harriet are playing a game of capitals while standing over a globe. Alfred informs Bruce of the bat phone. Bruce informs Aunt Harriet that he and Dick are having dinner with an old college chum of Bruce's. He promised to show Dick how to tie flies. He's an expert fisherman.
I do want to point out that Alfred seems to be his normal self when he picks up the bat phone this week, not like as annoyed as heck as he was last time. I mean,
Whatever.
last time he was really put out.
Yes, he was.
This one, he's a lot more polite.
At police headquarters, Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara figure out the answer to the first riddle, a newspaper. That riddle was so easy, even they figured it out.
Even the cops could figure out that one.
Robin figures out
But
the
they
answer.
didn't figure it out, did they?
No,
Because it wasn't a newspaper.
it was a book. Robin figures out the answer to the second Riddler. Let me reread that. Robin figures out the answer to the second riddle, a library. Batman states if the answer to the second riddle is a library, then the answer to the first riddle is probably a book. At Riddler's hideout beneath a candle factory, Riddler is melting down the wax statue of Batman. Inside the statue, sorry, inside the statue is a solvent that has been banned in the United States because it can eat through anything, even bolts. I'm going to stop right here because Riddler was having way too much fun melting down the wax figure of Batman.
And, that would sort of lead us to, where this is going to end up, I think.
At the library, Riddler lights a candle and sets it on a bookshelf. The security guard sees it and blows it out. When he does, he is hit with a knockout gas. Riddler and his gang use the wax solvent to break into the vault for rare old books.
Okay. Stop right here for a second, because this is the moment when after the Riddler puts the solvent on the vault lock and it sort of dissolves the lock and creates a hole there. The Riddler goes into such glee and is so excited that, I mean, it's infectious. Frank Gorswin goes, I can't even imagine if the director was like, Frank, could you dial it down a bit? Because he is just like more excited than a kid at Christmas. Like he is just like, like, and then when he does get the book, he's terribly like, he is just overly excited. Like he's had way too much caffeine, in this story, which is great. I think it's amazing. I mean, the way he shakes and moves his body and is manic like this. I mean, it is really uh something to behold, and it creates an impression. And I think the last story that he was in, he was so caught up with trying to kill Batman that it really seemed like he was violent and dark. This one, he doesn't seem as dark. He's manic, but he's not as dark, and I don't feel like, even though yes, he does get a lot of he does want to kill Batman and Robin. That is for sure. But it doesn't seem like it's his primary goal. I mean, he's got this goal of trying to figure out where the fabled lost treasure of the Incas is, and I think it gives him more of a motivation and makes him less violent and less creepy, and more fun to watch, I think.
Riddler finds an old book that leads him directly to the lost treasure of the Incas. Batman and Robin catch Riddler red-handed. A fight ensues. In the middle of the fight, Riddler sprays Batman and Robin's feet with his very own special concoction. They are unable to move their feet. Riddler throws the spray. Riddler. I'm laughing because this is funny. Riddler throws the spray bottle and it hits the alarm. So we see him. He's so exuberant and excited that when he throws the spray can, he sets off the alarm.
Oops. Which saves Batman and Robin.
The Riddler lights a smoking candle and leaves Batman with a riddle. The more you take away, the larger it grows. What is it? Batman uses a laser to melt the wax on their feet. Batman and Robin are free. Batman calls the librarian into the vault. The, li- the librarian wonders how the hole got in the wall. Robin solves the riddle. The more you take away from a hole, the larger it grows. Batman discovers a piece of wax on the
Robin
hole and decides they need to analyze it.
is Robin not the best riddle solver that we have on this show? Like, I mean,
Yes.
he is good. Like, even in this one, Batman is like, way to go, old chum. Like, he is even impressed.
Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, Robin's solving a lot of riddles this episode. Let's see, where was I?
And I think traditionally he does too. I think when the Riddler throws him out, I think it's usually Robin. There's a couple that he gets stumped by, but more often than not, he's usually the one that gets them.
Batman discovers a piece of wax on the hole and decides they need to analyze it back at the Batcave. Back at the Batcave, Batman and Robin analyze the sample of wax in the hyperspectrograph analyzer. And hopefully I got that right, because a lot of times, one of the things I noticed when we went back to the Batcave is the angle of the shot they had. A lot of times I can see the tags of what the equipment is. This one, they took a side shot, so I couldn't see the tag. There was one there, I could see it, but I couldn't read it. And you know how many times I rewound that to get the hyperspectrographic analyzer? I'm like, no, what did he say?
Well done.
They
That's commitment.
discover the Yes, it is. They discover the wax is made up of nitrogen, uranium, and sodium. The first three letters spell out the word sun, but that's after they mix them around a little bit. The French word for sun is soleil. Batman believes the Riddler's next target is Madame Soleil's wax museum. And how they figured that out from that, no, that's NUS. Well, that's sun backwards.
Hey, that's
What's the
why
French
they're
word
crime
for
fighters
sun?
and we're not, man. That's
I
they
guess
know what they're
so.
doing.
At Madame Soleil's wax museum, Riddler and his henchmen are disguised as American Revolutionary wax figures. When Batman and Robin arrive, searching for Madame Soleil, Riddler hits them with blow darts, knocking them out. I gotta say, those disguises were pretty good.
The revolutionary gear they were in? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought they did a great job on their makeup and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
yeah. And so true. So also the wax figure of the Riddler.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's just really Frank Gorswin, like sort of glossied up a little bit, but and just standing still, which you can't imagine he can stand still for any length of time. But but yeah, Frank cuts a good colonial revolutionary garb too. Like he looks pretty good in that.
Batman and Robin are tied up and thrown into the back of a van. Riddler decides he's going to steal the Batmobile and drives it back to the
Here we
candle
go
factory.
again.
Yeah. 2 episodes in a row we're stealing the Batmobile. Now I noticed in this one the Riddler knew what wires to cut.
Yeah, well, he had tried to steal it before. He tried to steal it in the very first episode.
Right.
When he
Oh,
was a
that's right. He did, didn't he?
so he knew that there were, so he's done his research. He's run his, and plus, they're in jail. They talk, right? The Penguin, like, yeah, they just got into jail, and he tried to steal it. So they talk. The Riddler's been out for what, 2 weeks? I don't know how he got released, but they say that he was released 2 weeks ago, and yeah, he's already up to crimes here. But apparently he took a crash course on wax museum and Incas.
Batman and Robin are tied up and thrown into the back of a van. Riddler decides he's going to steal the Batmobile and drives it back to the candle factory. Batman and Robin are strung up on a chain that is connected to a remote control enormous candle dipper. Riddler orders them to be slowly lowered so they can be turned into human candles.
Slowly.
Yeah, slow. Inf- Infamy of infamies. Can this be the end of our beloved Cape Crusaders? Will Batman wax serious? For the sake of our heroes, let's think positive. Positive. Let's think positively. But it looks bad, very bad. How can we wait until tomorrow night? Same bat time, same bat channel.
When he said, "Let's think positively," I think he was talking to your fortune teller Batman guy there.
Magic
'Cause
Batman.
Magic Batman was not correct on the last one, or missed it a little bit anyway. But anyway, this is a solid outing for it gets solid marks for me. I think Frank is wonderfully wonderful to watch. I liked the whole plot and everything that he's going after the fabled lost treasure of the Incas. Like,
Well, I was thinking about this more while I was watching this episode. This is the second episode we've had where one of the villains is trying to find some lost treasure, because the
yeah,
last one was when Catwoman was trying to find the lost treasure.
yep, yep. Now, why the lost treasure of the Incas would be in Gotham, I have no idea. But I guess we'll find out. Maybe, hopefully, in the second part. We'll see. I'm kind of curious. The Riddler says that he would like nothing more than to watch Batman and Robin descend to their death. So I do wonder if he's going to actually stick around, and if they're going to leave them alone so that they can get out of it. Or I do wonder how this is going to resolve, because yeah, they are going at a it's it's
Insanely
even like,
slow
oh yeah, it's
pace.
even an overstatement to say it's a snail's pace. I mean, I don't even think, like, I'm like, are they descending? Like, is this broken? Because they don't seem to be moving down at all. But they do seem to be pretty stuck there. So I'm kind of curious as to how they're going to get out of this. Because I don't recall this one. This was one that feels new to me, even though I'm sure I've seen it at some point, because I did watch all of these episodes at one point. But yeah, I like this one a lot so far. Also, I think it's of note that I mentioned that Moth is played by the lovely Linda Gay Scott. A couple things about that is that Moth is the outfit that she wears will be later, I guess, repurposed as Batgirl's outfit.
Oh, really?
So
I have to pay more attention.
that's the note that it says here. So we'll see if that's true, but it is reminiscent of it. And which is interesting, because according to Batgirl's origin, both in the comics and I believe in the pilot episode that they filmed with her, the first thing they did with the Batwoman here for this show, she goes up against a villain called Killer Moth, which I find, yeah, kind of interesting. So um
That is
also
interesting. I'm going to interrupt you for a second. That is interesting because I think I remember Batgirl going up against Killer Moth in the comic book.
yeah, that's her origin in the comic.
Yeah, okay. So it's also her origin in the story or in the show?
We'll get there.
Okay.
uh
I know that's not until season 3, so
right.
it'll be a
um
while.
but Killer Moth is not a female. Killer Moth is a male. So I think in both cases, in both the comic and in the when she appear and when he appears later. The other thing I wanted to mention too is that, look, there's not a lot of people that were involved with this series that are still with us. Unfortunately, we've lost several of these great talents. Linda Gay Scott is very much alive and well. She has a Facebook presence that is amazing. She posts almost every day about things that she's doing, movies she's watching, places that she's going to be at. She still does cons. Still does appearances. If you are interested in getting assigned merchandise from her, she has a lovely website. She made a couple of appearances here on the Batman series. She also appeared in a lot of 60s and 70s TV series as well. Green Hornet, Bewitched, Westworld, the Westworld series that was from the 70s. She was in as well. So um, she has quite the resume, and she is very much, like I said, with us still. So if for those people who want to reach out to uh, people who are part of this series, I definitely recommend adding Linda Gay Scott to your Facebook. If you're on Facebook, add her as a friend, follower, or whatever, because she posts a lot and she still looks great. And I have not had much interaction with her directly myself, but I do know some other people who have, and she's a lovely woman. She's a very lovely woman, and she loves talking about Batman.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, like I said, a lot of the people who are part of this are no longer with us. I think in the main cast, Burt Ward is still the only one is the only one that remains. And yeah, so we might, um, uh, and of course, some of the other villain like I just drew a blank. Julie Newmar is still with us as well. She's also pretty active on Facebook and social media, so I would definitely follow her. She posts a lot. She just celebrated a 80th birthday, I think, something like that. She still looks fantastic. I have had the pleasure of meeting her at a convention, and I strongly recommend that if you get a chance to do so as well. Julie Newmar, I believe, is I'm not Julie Newmar, but Lee Merriweather, I believe, is also still alive. And I'm not sure if she does shows anymore. And I don't think she has as much of a social media presence, but she was lovely. I met her as well. So I have tried to, meet and encounter directly as much as I can people who are associated with this series. And I've not had the opportunity to be at a show that Linda Gay Scott is at. So I haven't met her in person. I may reach out to her on social media because I don't know if I will have a chance to meet her at a con. So anytime soon, but yeah. So it is nice to see people that were part of this show still around and active and doing things. So
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Do you have a shout out, Mike?
you know what? I think I think Linda Gay Scott was gonna be is my shout out. Like I think I've propped her up enough that if you are on social media and Facebook, check out her actor page. I think you can friend or follow her or how whatever you do on comfortable on doing on Facebook. I'm not sure if she's active on some of the other ones, but she also has a website. She does have an Instagram account I see here, and it looks like she has a formerly known as Twitter X account too. So, she has done a lot of interviews on podcasts and whatnot, and she's got a website, lindagayscott.com, where she does sell uh, autographed merchandise, stills, and including those that feature her as this character Moth from Batman. So check out her site and give her some love.
All right. And for my shout out, because you mentioned Batgirl, I got to show you my new poster. I don't know if I've showed you this poster before, but I got it at Indiana Comic Con.
Woohoo! Lauren Craig, there she is.
Yep.
Yeah,
So I thought
if
that
you
was
notice, that outfit looks a little bit like what Moth is wearing.
so. Yeah, I saw that poster and I was like, I got to get that. So,
Huh.
and of course, also have a couple other new posters next to it. I have Nightwing and Robin Tim Drake, and then Batman and Robin from the animated series with Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn. So just some more things I picked up at Indiana Comic Con. So that's my shout out for this week.
Awesome.
All right. If you'd like to comment on anything we've talked about tonight, you can reach us at our feedback line 317-455-8411. Leave us a message, text us, or you can email us at batchumspodcast@gmail.com. All right, you ready to get out of here, Batchum?
Sure thing. BatChums are ready to move out.
Atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Don't worry, the worst is yet to come. You know, if I could, I would do the Frank Gorshin giggle, but it's just too manic, and I can't. I think yeah, I can't do that. That's just too crazy.